Hello, thank you for joining us for this webinar about the Warwick International Foundation programme. The aim of today is to give you some more information about the programme itself, what exactly the programme is and why Warwick would be a great place for you to come and study. So first of all, I'll talk about the university in general and what we have to offer at Warwick. And I'll then talk some more about the Warwick International Foundation programme itself and the courses that we offer and how this can prepare you for undergraduate study in the UK. I'll then look at the admissions process, so we'll look at what sorts of things we look for in your applications, and I'll then look ahead about what happens once you've received an offer and things such as your accommodation and what will happen when you arrive. And then finally, we'll look at what happens after the IFP and how you can progress onto universities in the UK. My name is Alison Durham. I'm the Programme and Development Officer for the Warwick IFP. So part of my role is to engage with students in country who are interested in studying the programme. So hopefully I've got lots of information for you today. And if there's anything that you don't feel that I've covered, then we'll have some opportunities at the end where you can send questions in to us. Okay, so first of all, we'll start talking about Warwick itself. And one of the main questions we get asked is, where is Warwick? So as you can see on this little diagram, Warwick is actually right in the middle of the UK. So it's that purple dot on the screen. And as you can see, we're very close to big cities such as Coventry and Birmingham, but we're also not far away from London either. So as the diagram shows you, from London Heathrow, we're only an hour and a half away. And from central London, it's about an hour on the train. This is a great location. As you can see, you're not far from anything, so you'll have the opportunity to travel to many different places in the UK if you come to study with us at Warwick. In terms of the university itself, we're actually a campus university, and what that means is that everything is in one place. So all of the university buildings are in one location, so that includes things such as the library, our teaching and learning centres, and all of the rooms where you would be studying. But also we've got things such as shops, the gymnasium, and also an art centre as well, which is all located in one place, which is perfect for you as students. These are some fantastic pictures of our campus in the sunshine, which does happen in the UK sometimes. So you'll see we've got very up-to-date facilities, which are all designed to help you study independently, but also with your fellow students and tutors as well. In terms of outside of studying, I've mentioned the art centre and the gym that are on campus. These things play a big part of life at Warwick. So for example, sports is something that we're really proud of at Warwick, and we have more than 65 different sports clubs here. So the picture that you can see on the screen is actually from our sports fair, which we have at the beginning of the year, and it gives you an opportunity to find out about all of the different sports clubs that we have. You can also sign up to give it a go, whether it's just for one session to see if the sport is for you, or it might be that you're already very passionate about a sport, in which case you might want to just join straight up. This is a great opportunity for you to find out about new things at Warwick and also to continue with things that you already enjoy doing. The Arts Centre that I've mentioned, this is one of the largest facilities outside of London, so we're very lucky to have it based on the university campus. There is a full theatre in there, so we have lots of performances, and also some of our student societies get to perform here as well. We also have the music centre and the cinema, all of which are available to students as well as members of the public too. As you can see on this slide, I've mentioned something about the SU, so that's our Students' Union. So this is set up for all students to be a part of, and they do regular events, both parties and club nights, but also other events as well for students to cater for everyone's interests. And finally, one of the main things that we like to talk about at Warwick is our international environment. We've got more than 120 nationalities on campus, and our aim is that everybody becomes an international student. That doesn't just mean students coming from overseas to study in the UK. We also want our students who are from the UK to have an international experience. So because of that, we promote things such as study abroad, and we also encourage our students to integrate fully with each other. So we'll have things such as our language cafe and Go Global, where we try to encourage all of our students to get that international experience, because we know that that is something that employers are really keen to see that you are part of an international environment and that you've got that cultural sensitivity and awareness. One of the things that you would experience if you joined the Warwick Foundation programme would be our induction week. So this is the first week of the programme, and it actually ties in with our Welcome to Warwick week, which our international students would all attend. So this is an opportunity for international students to start at the university before all of the UK students do. Now that's a perfect chance for you to not only settle into life at the university, but to also settle into life in the UK. So we will have regular sessions about how to open a bank account in the UK, to make sure that you're settling into your accommodation and making friends there. So that's something that we're really keen to promote as well, so that you are already settled before you have to start thinking about your studies. Now, on to the Warwick International Foundation programme. So most of you will already know about the foundation programme. You might have heard about it at an education fair. That might be where you signed up for the webinar, or it might be that you've already applied and are perhaps holding an offer. I know that we do already have quite a few offer holders from Japan and South Korea. So this is a great opportunity for me to start telling you some more about the stages before you get that offer, if you haven't yet applied and you're still thinking about it, and also what will happen once you've got your offer, so that you can start thinking further ahead to that stage. So in terms of the programme itself, we have 5 different academic courses, and I'll go into each of those in a bit more detail shortly. Something that we offer as part of this programme is our guaranteed conditional offers for Warwick. Some of you might have seen this on our website. This programme is a great way of gaining entry to the University of Warwick. And what we do is we have guaranteed conditional offers for relevant undergraduate programmes at Warwick. So if you join the programme, we will help you through the UCAS process, which is the UK's undergraduate admission services for degree programmes. We will help you with that, and if you apply to Warwick for a relevant programme, you are guaranteed to receive that conditional offer, which means that you're already one step ahead of the competition, who perhaps might even struggle to get that conditional offer. So once you've got that conditional offer, all you need to worry about then is trying to meet the terms of that and getting the right grades that you need to progress to Warwick. As I've said, you would be studying on the University of Warwick campus, but you also get the opportunity to live on the University of Warwick campus in our student accommodation, and that's something else that I'll be talking about a bit later on in the presentation. I've shown you the facilities and some of the sports clubs and societies that we have. As a Warwick Foundation programme student, you would have access to all of those facilities. We believe that it's not just about your studies here. We want to make sure that you are well-rounded students, so we want to make sure that you're accessing all that Warwick has to offer, and that's something that we would be keen to support you in as you progress through the programme. Tied to that is our extracurricular activities. As well as your main study programme, we make sure that there is lots on offer for you to engage with outside of the programme. Some of that will still be related to your programme, but it gives you more understanding of your subject area, perhaps in the real world. So for example, this year, some of our students have been going to Coca-Cola on our business studies programme to find out about the business of Coca-Cola and their production lines and their factory. We also had a Business of Wimbledon tour, which was about the business of sport in the UK and how that relates to students who are studying business at the moment and certain areas that they might need to consider in the future, whether it be things such as marketing or finance. That was all covered in a practical way on our Business of Wimbledon trip. And we also had, for our science and engineering and our maths and economics students, a trip to Bletchley Park, which was the home of the code breakers during the war. So that was a really great day for them to find out about the real life applications of their subjects. In terms of the academic programme itself, you'd have 23 contact hours per week. Now, I know when I've been to visit lots of schools around the world that 23 hours doesn't sound like very many at all. But what we're trying to do is trying to bridge the gap between your school learning, where you might have perhaps had 30 to 40 hours per week, and university undergraduate study, where it might be that you only have 8 or 10 hours per week perhaps, where you're in contact with your tutors. And that's because we're trying to encourage some independent study. We don't want to do that completely so that you go straight down to 10 hours. This 23 hours we think is a perfect amount of time for you to learn from your tutors, but then to also start that independent study and researching for yourselves. So of that 23 contact hours, up to 5 hours will be for the English language certificate, and I'll go into some more details about that programme. You'll also have 1 hour per week for classroom and one-to-one tutorials with a personal tutor, and then the remaining 17 hours will be dedicated to 4 of the academic units, and I'll look at each of those academic units depending on which course you're on in a moment. As well as the facilities on the campus, such as the library and our teaching and learning centres and learning grids, we also have extensive online facilities to support your studies. So the library offers a vast amount of resources which can be accessed online. That could be journal articles or some ebooks, but we also have a virtual learning environment called Moodle, and that's where your tutors will publish all of their presentations that they've delivered in lectures. They'll also give you some extra suggested readings, and they can use things like quizzes to assess your learning as well to see how you're getting on. So that's the sort of thing we use to support your studies. So I've spoken about the course format. In terms of per module, those hours break down as 2 hours per week in lectures for each module, and then 3 hours of seminars where you're in a smaller group. So a seminar, you would probably have a maximum of 15 people in there with you, and lectures, depending on which course you're on, there could be up to 150 people in there. So they're quite different ways of learning, and again, that will prepare you for study at undergraduate level, where this will be the style of teaching that you would be getting. In terms of the seminars on our science and engineering programme, one of those seminars would actually be a practical laboratory session. So you would be doing experiments in our labs, and particularly if you're studying our physics, biology or chemistry modules, because we are aware that the practical element is something that universities are really keen to see. So we will work with you to develop your skills in those areas. Okay, so now we're on to the courses themselves. So I know that I've said there are 5 courses. I'm going to look at each of them in a bit more detail now. So starting off, we've got our social science course, and this is the picture on the screen that you can see is actually one of our students who's currently studying with us. This is Dorsa, and she's from Iran, and she's studying on our social science program at the moment. So this program will have 2 core modules. One of those will be academic skills, and then the second core module you will choose between either history or sociology. And what the decision will be based on is really where you want to progress to at undergraduate level, and that's something again that we can support you with during the admissions process before you arrive. When you're choosing your modules, we can help suggest what might be the most appropriate for your undergraduate programme aspirations. So once you've made that first choice, you've then got 2 elective modules to choose from either psychology, politics, criminology, constitutional law and human rights, or economic theory. Now, as you can see, there are a wide range of modules there, and we've done that so that there is as much flexibility as possible, because that means that you have then got lots of options open to you in terms of progression to university. So you can combine those modules in lots of different ways to suit your interests and also your aims for undergraduate study. So as you can see here, this course will support progression to a range of degree programmes, from politics, philosophy and economics through to history. And also, I know a very popular course for our social scientists this year and in previous years, we always get lots of questions, is film studies. And this programme does actually allow progression onto film studies, both at Warwick and elsewhere in the UK. The next course is Maths and Economics. Now the student you can see here, this is Leah, and she's from Azerbaijan. So Maths and Economics is one of our newest programmes, and it really is for students who are very skilled and very passionate about mathematics. So you'll study 2 core modules, one of which will be academic skills, and your second core module will be pure mathematics. So as I say, it's really vital that you've got strong mathematical skills, but also a strong interest in maths, because that is the main focus of this programme. Again, you'll be choosing elective modules, and on this course there's a slightly smaller range of electives, so you could choose either computer science, maths and statistics, or economic theory. And again, the idea is that you will combine these based upon where you would like to progress to at undergraduate level and what your interests are. So it might be that you're more interested in economics, in which case you might combine the maths and statistics and economic theory modules as your electives, or it might be that computer science is what you would ideally like to study at undergraduate level. In that case, then it might be maths and statistics and computer science that you combine as your electives. The next course that we have here is law, and as you can probably guess from the title, this is perfect for students who are passionate about the study of law. So the student that you can see here is Kingsley, and he's one of our students from Singapore who is studying on the law programme this year. The law programme, we're trying to make it so that you are studying law, but you can also complement those studies with some outside subject areas, and that's what you will see in the choice of elective modules. So the core modules on this course will be academic skills, as I've mentioned previously, that is core across all courses, constitutional law and human rights, and then you will make your first decision about whether you would like to study criminal law or whether tort and contract law is more where your interest lies. As I've said, you then choose a subject from outside the field of law to complement those studies, and you can choose either history or politics and international relations. So the possible progression routes, obviously you can progress straight onto an LLB law programme in the UK, but there are also options outside of that. So some of our students this year have applied to study law and business studies, so they found the tort and contract law really useful in preparing them to study law and business studies. Or it could be that you choose to pursue an area that's not directly related to law, for example philosophy, and again we have lots of options available for students regardless of which course you're studying. Next up is our science and engineering programme. Now I mentioned this earlier because we do have practical elements on some of the modules in this course. The student that you can see here is Doruk, and he's a student from Turkey who is studying with us this year, and he's going to pursue computer science because that is also something that is available on this route. So on this course your core modules would be maths for science, and you'd also study academic skills. Again, there are lots of elective modules on the science and engineering programme, all of which are designed to prepare you for a wide range of undergraduate programmes. So you would choose 2 electives from either biology, psychology, chemistry, physics, or computer science. And you compare those in lots of different ways, again to suit your undergraduate progression routes. So for example, if you want to study neuroscience, it might be that you would combine biology and psychology. If you wanted to study biochemistry, you could combine biology and chemistry. Or you could do something which is not in the life sciences and pursue an engineering route, in which case you could combine physics and chemistry, if it was chemical engineering you were interested in, or physics and computer science and progress to computer systems engineering and those kinds of courses. As you can see, there are lots of options available to you. And finally, we come to our most popular course on the foundation programme, which is our business and economics programme. So this has been designed in conjunction with academics at Warwick Business School, and that's where we have some of our most competitive undergraduate degree programmes at Warwick. So this programme is perfect if you've got a passion for business, and that's reflected in the main courses. So in the main modules, there are 3 core modules. You've got foundations of business, business maths and statistics, and academic skills. One thing it's worth saying about this course is that you do still have to have a certain level of mathematical skill so that you can progress well on this course. There is the business maths and statistics module is core to this programme, so that's something to bear in mind as you're perhaps submitting an application. You need to be confident in your maths ability, but we will of course be there to support you as you progress through. So as well as the business core modules, you will still have the option to have an elective module on this, again, which is designed to complement your studies. So on this programme you could choose from either sociology, psychology, or applied economics, all of which have been designed to relate to business as well as the relevant discipline themselves. As I've said, this supports progression into some of the most popular Warwick Business School programmes, such as management and international management, but also accounting and finance as well. Okay, some of the questions that we get often focus around assessment, because I know lots of people are worried about passing the programme and making sure that they get good grades. So the way that we assess the course is through two different types of assessment, both formative and summative. Now, the difference between those is that formative will measure your progress, so your tutors will still mark it and give you feedback, but it doesn't count towards your final mark. Now, some people might say, oh, well, that means I don't need to try very hard. Well, actually, what we would say is that it's great to try your hardest on your formative assessments, and then your tutor can give you some really thorough feedback and let you know how you're progressing, where you need to improve, what you're doing well. So it's a great opportunity for you to find out what level you're at and what you need to work on and improve before you come to an assessment which actually counts towards your final grade. So they're called your summative assessments, and all of the modules on the course will have summative assessments. Some of those will be courseworks or tests which you'll complete as the programme progresses. So it might be every 4 to 6 weeks you have an essay for a module, or it might be that you do an in-class test. And there will then also be a final examination in the summertime. And we try to weight it so that you can still perform well on your coursework, even if you struggle perhaps in exams, or if you are better under exam pressure, that you would still be able to perform well overall. So we're aware of there's lots of different learning styles for our students and different ways that they find more useful. So that's what we try to do to make it fair for everybody. Now, I mentioned the English language certificate and how you would study up to 5 hours of the English language certificate. So in terms of this programme, it runs separate to your core academic modules that you would be studying. And the reason for that is because the International Foundation programme isn't just an English language programme. It is an academic programme which also supports your English language development, and that separates us from some other foundation programmes which might just focus on English. We're very much about preparing you for university from an academic perspective as well as an English language perspective. Now, our English language certificate is compulsory if your IELTS is below 7.0, and all of the components would need to be above 6.5 in order for you to be exempted. But what we would say is that even if you have already achieved those grades, the English language certificate will still be of benefit for you. It will help you prepare for your English for academic purposes, which might not be something that you have done in your previous English language study. So our aim is to develop and enhance that academic language skills as well as your conversational skills. And in this course, you'll be assessed via a portfolio of work, and that will assess all aspects of your language. So, for example, there could be a verbal presentation to assess your speaking skills. There could be a small group discussion, which again will assess your speaking, but also your listening skills as well as various pieces of coursework. So that's the English language certificate, and again, as I said, we would recommend that everybody takes part in that regardless of your entry IELTS, because it will help you to achieve those very top grades as you progress through your academic course. I've mentioned all of these courses. Of course, none of this would be possible if we didn't have our teaching team. So we've got more than 22 members of teaching staff on the programme. So these are some of the photos of our staff members. Some of these staff members have been teaching the foundation programme for more than 10 or 15 years. Some of them have got previous experience teaching at university level, so they know what is expected of you when you progress. And lots of them have experience at A-level or IB level programmes, which is what students normally study in the UK. So they're very aware of the level that you will be arriving at and where you need to be in order to be progressing to university. Now, that's all of the information about the programme itself and the courses that you can study. We're now going to look at the admissions and the entry criteria for the course. As I've said, some of you might already be holding offers and watching this video. I will still be looking at what happens after you've got that offer, so this will still be relevant to you. So in terms of what we need in order to start our assessments of your application, you'll need to submit an online application via our website. So there's an assessment fee of £50 which you'll need to pay at the time of completing that application. And then once that comes through to us, we'll also need to see a school transcript. So this can be a partial year transcript if you're still completing your studies, or your final high school transcript if you've already finished. And something else that we need as part of this is a personal statement. And that's something that we're placing a lot of importance this year to make sure that we're getting the very best students on the programme. We're not just focusing on grades, we will be paying a lot of attention to this personal statement. In terms of what we're looking for within the personal statements, we really want to know why you want to study with us and what it is that you think the International Foundation programme can help you with in terms of progression to university and your intellectual curiosity, how the International Foundation programme is going to meet your needs in those areas. We're also keen to hear about any relevant extracurricular activities that you might be involved in. So for example, it might be that you've taken part in the Model UN at school, or it might be that you've been involved in some business enterprise weeks at school where you've developed a company or a product and had to sell that. They're exactly the sorts of things that we're keen to hear about. We also want to hear about your awareness and your appreciation of social and cultural diversity. As I've mentioned, the university is a very international university. We've got students from more than 120 different countries, but that's also the same for the foundation programme. When you join us, you will be studying with students from over 40 different countries around the world. So we want to know that the students that we are accepting onto the programme are aware of social and cultural diversity and are willing to embrace that so that they are going to make the best of the experience on the foundation programme. So these are the deadlines for applications. So the application deadline itself is the 31st of July 2017. But what we would always say is that it's better to apply sooner rather than later. It may be the case that some of our courses will close early for applications if we have received a certain number. So it's always best to apply sooner rather than later, even if you haven't got all of your documents together. If you start your application and send us what you do have at the moment, we can at least begin our assessments and you will already be in that process. In terms of accepting your offer, you'll need to do that by the 31st of July as well. So if you apply on the very last day, the 31st of July, we will work our hardest to get your offer out to you on that day, but you would then need to accept it as soon as possible afterwards so that we know that you are intending to come to join the programme. We then have an academic deposit, which is part of all of our conditional offers that we send out. And that's a £2,000 deposit as part of your tuition fees. We'd need to receive that by the 4th of August. Again, that helps us to know who is intending to join the programme. It is refundable if you were not to meet the grades to join the programme, or if your IELTS score wasn't sufficient, we would refund it in those circumstances. But as I say, it just gives us that indication that you are intending to join the programme. And then in terms of meeting your offer and, for example, submitting the final high school or your final IELTS certificate, though that deadline is the 31st of August. So we've got some extra time there because we know that some schools will finish later than others. In terms of the schools, one thing I haven't mentioned is the specific high school grades that we're looking for students. All of this information is available on our website because we do have lots of different qualifications from around the world. But in terms of Japan and South Korea, who this webinar is designed for students from Japan, we'd be looking for the upper secondary school leaving certificate with 5 relevant subjects at grade 4 or above. So in terms of relevant subjects, what that means is if you wanted to study our business programme or our maths programme, a relevant subject would be a mathematics, and that might be geometry or algebra. We'd need to see the score of 4 in those. In terms of Korea, we would be looking for the high school certificate with at least 70% overall average. And again, we will be paying attention to your grades in the relevant subjects. If you're studying a different curriculum that is not those standard high school certificates, please do have a look at our website or contact the team. I'll provide the details at the end, and we'll be able to advise you about that, about what we would be looking for in those different qualifications. Okay, so in terms of once you've received your unconditional offer, so once you've submitted your final high school transcript and your IELTS, you've paid the deposit, and we're happy that you have met all of those terms of your offer, you will be then holding an unconditional offer. The next steps for those people, the unconditional offer holders, would be to receive a CAS, or a confirmation of acceptance for studies. Now, some of you will be familiar with these. These are what you are required to use when you apply for your student visa to come and join us in the UK. We will issue these approximately 3 or 4 months before the course starts, so that will be in around mid to late June. So as you can see, the sooner you meet your requirements and hold an unconditional offer, the sooner that you can get your CAS, and the sooner you can start your application to come and join us in the UK. If you're under 18, we will also require some parental forms from you, just to confirm that your parents are happy for you to come and travel independently and study with us in the UK. Another part of the application process, the admissions process, will be to make those module choices. Now, as I've said, there are lots of choices available to you, and we don't expect you to just know straight away which modules you want to study. We'll provide you with lots of advice and guidance about that, and we'll recommend module combinations for specific undergraduate courses that you might like to progress to. All of that will be sent to you around August time. So once you've paid your deposit, we will be contacting you to make those module choices. Again, it helps us to work out the numbers of students who will be in each of your groups, and to make sure you've got a mixed group of lots of students from different backgrounds. Now, another question we get lots of questions asked about is accommodation. Now, for next year, our students will be staying in Sherborne Halls. This is actually going to be our newest student accommodation on the campus. Now, all of our Warwick IFP students will be together, but there will also be undergraduate and postgraduate students in the area where you are located. So in some of the other blocks of Sherborne, and also some of the other accommodation that we offer in that area. So you will be integrating with lots of different students from lots of different backgrounds. The applications for this will open at the end of May, and you will have to be holding an offer to study in order to be eligible to apply for that accommodation. So again, as I've said before, the earlier you apply and you get that offer, the sooner you can start to make these decisions about joining us in September. The offers of accommodation won't actually be sent out until September. This is because it's not on a first come, first served basis. What our residential life team do, they gather all of your applications together, and then they assess who will be the best people to group together in those flats. So they'll look at the interests that you've specified in your background, and they'll try and mix students together who they think will have similar interests. So that might be, if you perhaps have said that you love going to the cinema, they might have found another student who is from China who also loves going to the cinema, and they can see that that might be something that you could have in common. So they will try to mix you based on that. The residential life team will actually be on call for you the whole time that you are staying in that accommodation as well. You will have a warden who will be based in the accommodation that you can contact if you have any issues, if you're struggling to settle in, or if you would like to move flats. They will be there to deal with that. They also put on a whole range of social events for you as well, so that you can mix with other students in that accommodation block too. The deadline for applying for accommodation will be the end of July as well. So the sooner you can get that offer, the sooner you can start applying for your accommodation. Now, I mentioned the Welcome to Warwick Week, which happens just before all of our UK student starts. Our Arrivals Week will also tie in with that Welcome to Warwick Week, and there will be a range of activities to help you settle in at Warwick. You'll be meeting your personal tutors and your tutor groups, and there'll also be some university-wide events such as the sports fairs and the societies fairs, and it'll also be an opportunity for you to begin that UCAS process, which is the undergraduate admissions process, which I'm just going to talk to you about in just a moment. So we would strongly encourage all of our students to arrive during the arrivals weekend of the 23rd and 24th of September. That means you've got a day or so to get settled in your accommodation, and then you have the week of activities with the foundation programme team and your fellow students so that you can start to get settled amongst them before you start your studies. So it's a really important part of the programme. Okay, so now progression onto university. As I mentioned, the UCAS process is what you will be going through once you join the programme. So we will support you through that. So the first things that you will do during that arrival week is register on the UCAS system. You will then have some time, only a short space of time though because of the deadlines for applying for undergraduate programmes, and you'll need to start thinking about which courses and which universities you would like to progress to in the UK, or perhaps it might be international universities that you're interested in, and we can also help support you with that as well. As part of this, you'll be getting guidance from your personal tutors and module tutors. They'll be able to help you about which courses might be most appropriate for your interests, which universities excel in the subject areas that you're interested in, and they'll be able to just advise you about what the best options for you are. The wider Warwick IFP team will also be on hand to support you with that. And we've got lots of information about where our students have progressed to in previous years, so we can recommend what offer level a university might provide to you, whether they are likely to ask for all of your modules to be at distinction level, or whether they might say that you need 60% overall in order to progress. We can provide all of that information to you. One thing it's important to say, I've spoken about the guaranteed conditional offers at Warwick, but we are also a programme which almost all UK universities accept for their courses as well. There's very few universities or courses which wouldn't accept the Warwick IFP, and that's something that we're keen to support you with. We understand that not everybody who comes to do the Warwick International Foundation programme wants to stay at Warwick for their undergraduate studies. We have lots of students who arrive and they say, well, I'll do the Warwick IFP, but really I've always wanted to study in London. And that's okay. We would love everybody to come to Warwick, but we know that that won't always be the case, and we are more than happy to support you in exploring those other options. One of the ways that we do that is that we actually host a university fair on the campus at the very beginning of the year. So we invite other universities from the UK, ones that have been particularly popular with our students over the past few years. And we invite them to come to the university so that you exclusively, as Warwick IFP students, have the chance to speak to all of them about what they can offer you and what their universities have available to you. And most importantly for us is that you have got an informed decision so that you are aware of the choices that are out there for you. So that's the aim of that. In terms of where our students go to, around 30 to 35% will progress to Warwick. And as I've said previously, this includes some of Warwick's most competitive courses, such as economics, accounting and finance, and management. But there's also a wide range of courses that our students will progress on to. All of our progression routes and our guaranteed conditional offers are available on our website. So as you can see, the website is just going in the background behind me. There's an option on there to look at the progression routes. That will tell you which courses are available to progress to at Warwick and the kinds of grades that you need in order to join those courses. As I've said, we would love that number to increase and for 50 or 60% of our students to progress to Warwick, but we know that that is not always what students want to do. So some of the other popular universities that our students have progressed to include universities such as UCL, LSE, Imperial, Manchester, and we've even had students who have progressed to Oxford and Cambridge. So that shows you the sort of reputation that the Warwick IFP has within the UK. And it also highlights the very positive relationships that we have with destination institutions across the country. As I've said, we've always got students each year who are interested in studying in America or in Canada or perhaps elsewhere in Europe. We also support you with that, so whether you need additional references or you need some help with your personal statements, all of us will be available to support you with that during the programme as well. Okay, so that was just a brief overview of the Warwick IFP. Hopefully I've covered everything that we normally get asked about, but it might be that you've still got some questions left. If you would like to ask us about those, please do get in touch with us. If you go onto our website using this link, you'll see that there's a section for you to contact us. If you just fill in your inquiry on there, that will come through to a member of the team, and we'll be able to start answering your questions and pointing you in the right direction of where you can find those answers. As I said, my name's Alison Durham. You can find my details on the website as well, so please do get in touch with us if you've got any questions. Once again, thank you for watching. I hope that that's been a useful session for you, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.